Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to unpack compelling ideas, really help you get truly well-informed fast. Today, we're diving into something that feels, well, more vital than ever, balancing feminine and masculine power in life and organizations. Our guide for this deep dive, it's the insightful book, Two Wings of Leadership by Mónica, Martínez, Vargas, and Charles R. Howard. And our goal here is simple. Pull out the most powerful insights from their work, help you understand how to lead with, balance, integration, and a real focus on service in this complex world we're in.
It's so true. I mean, the world just keeps getting more complex, doesn't it? And the old ways of leading, well, they often fall short. The core of Two Wings of Leadership, it uses this incredibly powerful image. Humanity, like a bird needing two equally strong wings, one masculine, one feminine, to really soar. The book makes such a compelling case that, for us to make real progress, both of these energies have got to be fully developed and integrated.
And the authors bring such incredible depth. Mónica Martínez Vargas, she's a strategic consultant and executive coach with, over 3 decades of international experience. She blends the sharp analytical mind with a really profound grasp of human dynamics. It's quite a mix.
Right. And Charles R. Howard, also 30-plus years in global consulting. He grounds his insights in engineering, supply chain, but then, and this is unique, he couples that with a master's in education. That makes him incredibly adept at transforming organizations because he truly understands people, culture, the human side of things.
Yeah, and what's really fascinating about their collaboration is how it started. They actually converged on this shared vision, this idea of balanced leadership, after meeting at a Soul.com gathering back in October 2024.
Exactly. Their partnership, it really comes from this deep shared commitment. They want to transform organizations into what they call living, breathing communities where leadership is holistic and deeply human.
Okay, so let's really get into that central metaphor. Imagine a bird, right, poised for flight. Its ability to soar, to reach those incredible heights, it absolutely depends on both wings being equally strong, perfectly balanced, fully extended. And the authors connect this so directly to humanity's journey. They argue our collective progress requires the equal development and integration of both masculine and feminine qualities in our lives and leadership.
And what's remarkable, really, is that this isn't some brand new idea. It has these deep historical roots. This profound metaphor was actually expressed by Abdu'l-Baha, a key figure in the Baha'i faith, known for his progressive social thinking over a century ago.
Wow, over a century?
Yeah, he put it so simply, so powerfully. The world of humanity has two wings. One is women and the other men. Not until both wings are equally developed can the bird fly. Should one wing remain weak, flight is impossible. It's such a foundational truth, and it still resonates so strongly today,
And you could argue we've been flying with a noticeable limp for far too long, right?
Yeah.
Traditional leadership has really leaned into traits often associated with, masculine ideals, assertiveness, control, competitiveness.
Right, those traditionally masculine traits.
Exactly. But in doing that, we've often sidelined essential qualities like empathy, collaboration, and intuition qualities our culture has often, and maybe problematically, linked with femininity.
So the question is, can we keep flying like that? The book's answer is a definitive no. This imbalance, it's just not sustainable. It's not inevitable either. Their core message is that integrated leadership, a style that skillfully weaves together the strengths of both masculine and feminine qualities, is absolutely essential. It's a prerequisite for building resilience, innovation, and justice in the 21st century.
And this is such a critical point for you listening.
Yeah.
These qualities are absolutely not tied to gender. That's key.
Right.
Every individual, regardless of who they are, has the capacity to cultivate both. So knowing that, what really stands out to you about this foundational metaphor?
Well, when we look at the bigger picture of leadership, how it's evolved, you see how much the paradigm has shifted. Think back, early 20th century, especially manufacturing. Leadership was often a dominance-based approach, command and control, rigid structures, fierce competition.
Right, very top-down.
Very. And while it got things done, sort of, it often led to deep inefficiencies and a real lack of inclusion.
Yeah.
People felt shut out.
And you can see organizations starting to push back against that rigidity, like Toyota's production system, TPS, that completely reoriented things around teamwork, empowering employees. It skillfully integrated, structured decision-making with collective problem-solving. Very different.
Absolutely. Or look at healthcare's evolution, moving towards patient-centered care. That demands multidisciplinary teamwork. It can't just be top-down directives anymore.
That makes sense.
And another pivotal moment historically was World War II, when men left for battle. women stepped into leadership roles, factories, industries, across the board. And they showed this incredible ability to balance decisiveness with nurturing leadership.
So it wasn't just filling a gap.
Not at all. It fundamentally proved that leadership qualities aren't confined to one gender. It really showed how much potential we were leaving untapped.
That's why Charles R. Howard's personal journey, which he shares in the book, is so interesting. He grew up in what he calls a vibrant ecosystem dominated by estrogen, surrounded by 5 older sisters and a mother.
Quite the environment.
And on top of that, raised in the Baha'i faith, where the principle of equality between women and men is like a cornerstone belief.
Yeah, and what's really impactful about his story is this painful awakening he had. It was during a university women's studies class. He came face to face with the stark reality of inequality, the pervasive struggle so many women faced. And that experience just lit this deep conviction in him that as a man, I had a responsibility to contribute to change.
And that kind of personal realization, it really feeds into this broader rise of integrated leadership we're seeing now. I saw a Harvard Business Review study mentioned in the book. It found companies with diverse leadership, not just gender, but management style too, are 21% more likely to outperform their market's financial averages. So what does that tell us about the real-world impact?
It tells us this isn't just, a nice to have. It's a strategic imperative. Hard numbers. There's data from the Gender Equality and Governance Index. They looked at 158 countries and found a strong correlation between gender equality and overall societal progress.
Wow, societal progress.
Yeah. The report basically concluded that the economic and political empowerment of women may well be one of the most powerful tools in the 21st century to lay a firmer foundation for both peace and sustainable development.
Wow.
That's a profound link, right?
Yeah.
Between how we lead and the stability of our societies.
And we are seeing real-world examples. Companies successfully integrating this stuff, like Google fostering innovation, but also really emphasizing psychological safety. Patagonia integrating that assertive business strategy with deep environmental responsibility.
Or Unilever under Paul Pullman. Balancing sharp business decisions with a profound focus on environmental and social impact.
How do they manage that blend so effectively? What's the secret sauce there?
Well, they get that it's not either. It's both hand. And this tackles a really persistent misconception that so-called masculine and feminine leadership qualities are rigidly tied to gender. It's just not true. Neuroscientific research, studies from Stanford, they confirm qualities like emotional intelligence, for example, aren't exclusive to any gender. It can be developed. It's a skill.
Right, not inherent. Satya Nadella at Microsoft, he seems like a great example of this integrated approach. Known for his decisive strategic direction, sure, but he also deeply prioritizes empathy and collaboration. He fundamentally changed Microsoft's culture.
Exactly. His approach really highlights the crucial role of emotional intelligence, or EQ, as Daniel Goleman called it. EQ is what truly enables leaders to balance that decisiveness with compassion. Think about Jacinda Ardern, former Prime Minister of New Zealand. She's a perfect example of EQ-driven leadership, building huge trust and resilience during crises, precisely because she showed both strengths and profound empathy.
Mónica Martínez Vargas shares a really impactful story that brings us right down to earth. Her very first job, chemical engineer, working on a huge multi-million-dollar proposal. An executive actually suggested she adjust some of the data to make the proposal more appealing.
Oh, wow. Pressure from the start.
Yeah. And her response, immediate, firm. If we can't win this project with honesty, then it's not our project to win, and I will not certify this product.
That takes courage. So what happened?
Well, the incredible outcome was the product failed in the field. 3 weeks later?
No way.
Yes. But years later, that same executive approached Mónica, looked her in the eye and said, I never forgot what you said in that meeting. I respect you more than anyone who is at that table.
That's powerful. Gives you chills.
It really does. It's leadership defined not just by achieving, but by what you refuse to compromise. In that moment, Mónica showed how those feminine strengths like intuition and relational awareness blended seamlessly with masculine strengths like conviction and clarity. And what did it build? Trust. Lasting trust. So when we think about leadership, it's clearly not binary. It's this complex and dynamic spectrum, right? Every single person has a broad, unique range of qualities, all rooted in what the book calls universal human virtues.
Yeah, and Charles shares this delightful story about his kids, Jasmine and Justice, that he says totally shattered his neat theories about gender. He gave them the same toys. Jasmine arranged dolls and trucks, a mix of nurturing and exploration. Justus, mostly trucks and buses. In fact, bus was his first word. So for Charles, it highlighted this inherent uniqueness, these delightful differences in how masculine and feminine energies just naturally express themselves in individuals. It's not cookie cutter.
We often label virtues, don't we? Masculine, decisiveness, assertiveness, logic, feminine, empathy, collaboration, intuition. But the book stresses, so importantly, that these virtues and traits are not confined to one gender or another. They're just human.
And this isn't just talk. There's research published in the Journal of Organizational Behavior that backs this up. It indicates companies led by people who show both strategic thinking and emotional intelligence. They significantly outperform their competitors in long-term sustainability and innovation. We're talking margins of up to 30%. It's the synergy, the combination that's powerful.
Charles has another great story, this one from Salvador, Brazil. His daughter Jasmine, only 12 at the time, showed incredible strength and assertiveness. A loud thud hits their car. She just commands him, calmly but firmly, "Get back in the car now."
Wow.
Yeah. He realized then that the strength and assertiveness we often associate with masculinity resides within women too. And maybe even more profound, he thought, Jasmine's masculine response was different than mine, and surely the wiser course of action.
These real-world examples are so important. Leaders like Indra Nooyi, former CEO of PepsiCo, or Jacinda Ardern again, they offer these powerful blueprints. They seamlessly combine strategic thinking, decisiveness with empathy, social responsibility, compassion. They embody both wings.
Mónica also shares another story, a really raw one. Early in her career, engineer on-site, male-dominated industry in Chile. Comments about her appearance, jokes, even an explicit sexual advance, then retaliation. Really tough stuff.
That sounds incredibly difficult.
And she admits, at the time, she chose performance over protest. She suppressed my feminine voice. It's something she deeply regrets now. She says, the feminine power I silenced then, my voice, my emotional truth, my intuition, is the very force that leadership needs most. She adds, I now speak for the version of me who stayed quiet, and for every woman still learning to rise, I will not be silent again. That's incredibly powerful.
It really underscores the dangers of imbalance. When any single virtue gets overemphasized, it can lead to negative, sometimes really severe consequences. Take overemphasis on raw decisiveness, competitiveness. It can easily create a toxic corporate culture. You see high turnover, burnout, widespread disengagement. Think early Uber under Travis Kalanick, that aggressive growth at all costs approach, and notoriously lacked compassion and inclusivity.
Right, till a change happened.
Exactly. Only when Dara Khosrowshahi brought in a much more balanced model did they start to really address those deep systemic issues.
And it works the other way too, doesn't it? The book points out if a leader focuses too much on empathy and collaboration, they might neglect the crucial importance of decisiveness and accountability. That can stall progress, leave an organization stuck.
Precisely. And the book clarifies something vital here, this idea of excess virtues. It's basically a misconception. True moderation isn't about less of a virtue. It arises dynamically and organically when virtues interact and harmonize within an individual. It means all virtues should be robustly and comprehensively developed to their fullest potential. It's about synergy, not dialing things down.
Okay, synergy, not suppression. Got it.
And to help you actually find that synergy, the book offers some really practical self-assessment tools. There's the Leadership Virtue Inventory, an original tool. It has self-reflection questions to help you balance pairs like decisiveness versus empathy, courage versus humility, assertiveness versus collaboration. Then there's the Human Virtues and Corresponding Flaws tool, adapted from Louis Enrique Boast. It lists 61 virtue flaw pairs like joy, sadness, altruism, selfishness. You rate yourself 0-10, and it helps you focus on areas scoring 6 or below, where you might need development.
Okay, actionable.
And finally, the Masculine-Feminine Leadership Trait Inventory. This helps you rate those traits traditionally seen as masculine decisiveness, strategic thinking against traditionally feminine ones, empathy, intuition. It guides you to spot and balance any skewed scores, aiming for that more integrated approach.
So we've explored this two wings metaphor, the spectrum of qualities, the dangers of imbalance. Now the book introduces a concept as, well, the engine that has best powered this integrated flight, servant leadership.
Right. Servant leadership. It's a philosophy where the leader's primary goal is actually to serve others. It's all about fostering trust, empathy, collaboration. It really transcends outdated leadership paradigms based on domination and hierarchy.
How does it connect to the two wings specifically?
Because it inherently values both sides. It values nurturing and care. Those feminine qualities and vision, strategy, and decisive action, the masculine aspects, it genuinely provides a pathway to synthesize them, to bring them together effectively.
The book lists 10 key principles: listening, empathy, healing, awareness, persuasion, conceptualization, foresight, stewardship, growth of people, and building community. That's quite a list. When you look at that, what really jumps out as critical for integrating the two wings?
Good question. I think listening and growth of people are particularly vital for the two wings idea. They directly feed into creating that nurturing, empathetic environment where everyone can thrive.
Yeah.
And that, in turn, enhances the strategic vision. But, it's important to bust some myths about servant leadership, too.
Okay, like what?
Myth number 1, it's soft or weak. Reality. It requires immense strength, courage, resilience. It's about inner fortitude, not outward aggression. Myth 2, servant leaders are passive, they lack decisiveness. Actually, their decisions are often inherently better because they're informed by diverse views and grounded in the collective good. And myth 3, it's only for nonprofits. Not true at all. It's universally applicable across all sectors. It's a mindset, really.
A mindset, not a sector thing. Okay, that makes perfect sense. So let's look at how servant leadership actually blends these diverse qualities. Take vision, that strategic, traditionally masculine drive, plus service nurturing, traditionally feminine. What do you get? Purpose-driven direction, where the vision comes from understanding the needs of those you serve.
Exactly. Or decisiveness, assertive, masculine, plus listening, empathetic, feminine. That creates informed and inclusive decisions. Decisiveness gets better when you value diverse perspectives.
Okay, I see the pairings. How about empowerment? Action-oriented masculine with growth of people, nurturing feminine.
That combination leads to sustainable performance because investing in individuals unlocks so much more potential.
And one more. Accountability, direct masculine plus healing, relational feminine.
That gives you constructive feedback and growth. Mistakes aren't punishments. They're opportunities for growth, handled with support and compassion. It changes the whole dynamic.
Mónica shares another really relatable story here about preparing for her 2 daughters' weddings, very close together. Initially, her structured, results-driven leadership style took over. Planning mode, right?
Understandable.
But she quickly realized that approach did not foster the deep emotional connection I truly desired during that special time. So she consciously shifted, trying to be fully present, embodying love and calm. And that shift from a purely strategic mindset to a more heart-centered leadership style deepened our bond. But she also had this critical realization. Pausing her professional work for the weddings showed her that sustainable leadership requires the integration of both energies at all times. You can't just switch one off.
That's such a key insight. It has to be integrated, always.
The book then gives some really compelling case studies in action, integrated servant leaders. There's Christina Junqueira, co-founder of Nubank, empathetic tech leadership. Revolutionized banking in Brazil by balancing sharp strategy with deep user empathy. Huge success.
Nubank is massive now, right? Over 100 million clients.
Yeah, over 114 million clients globally, a $50 billion valuation. Incredible. Then there's Mr. David Harris, a school principal, transformed an under-resourced urban neighborhood school. He balanced assertive advocacy for resources with implementing restorative discipline, focusing on teacher development, really engaging the community.
Blending that assertiveness with compassion.
Exactly. And Alex Rivera, a non-binary community organizer, built social justice initiatives based on inclusivity and decentralization, used open dialogues, restorative justice, showed vulnerability as a strength to build trust.
That's a powerful example, too.
And finally, Satya Nadella, again at Microsoft, a transformational leader in a very traditional place. He led that huge cultural shift, know it all to learn it all, embraced openness, collaboration, even with competitors, empowered employees, customer-centric focus, result. Microsoft's value soared past $3 trillion, regained its innovative edge, shows servant leadership works even in big, hierarchical places.
And it's worth mentioning briefly other leadership models that complement this two wings idea. They help achieve that balance, like the Losada model, emphasizing positive and negative interaction ratios for high performance. That speaks directly to nurturing communication. Or Theory U, focusing on deep transformation through self-awareness, collective intelligence, leading from deep listening. And positive intelligence, strengthening mental fitness, shifting to a growth mindset, fosters resilience. They all kind of weave together.
It becomes so clear then that a truly integrated organization has to be an inclusive organization. It's not just tolerating diversity, it's actively appreciating learning from that rich tapestry of human difference.
Absolutely. The book maps out this evolving landscape of diversity in organizations in 4 stages. It's a useful framework. Stage 1, exclusion. Diversity is absent, may be discouraged. Homogeneous leadership. Stage 2, tolerance. This is often compliance-driven. Diversity is seen as something to be managed, can feel superficial.
Right, ticking boxes.
Exactly. Then stage 3, understanding and appreciation. Organizations start seeing the value. You get inclusive leadership programs, mentorship, but still challenges like unconscious bias. And finally, stage 4, integration and learning. This is where D&I are core values, strategic imperatives, equitable systems, psychological safety, leadership accountability. This is where both wings are strong, truly coordinated. Where do you think most organizations fall on that spectrum right now?
That's a tough question. Probably scattered across stages 2 and 3, mostly. It also makes me think about intersectionality. Kimberly Crenshaw's concept, it's crucial, right? Recognizing that people have multiple intersecting identities, gender, race, class, orientation, disability. And these identities interact. They create unique experiences of both privilege and marginalization. It's not just one thing.
And understanding that is so important. It forces us to move beyond single categories. It means we have to listen to individual stories, design truly inclusive systems, constantly foster empathy, perspective-taking, see the whole person.
But even if you have diversity, you can't really leverage it without creating psychological safety. Amy Edmondson at Harvard defines it as the belief that one can express ideas, concerns, and mistakes without fear of punishment or humiliation. Google's Project Aristotle famously found it was the most critical factor in high-performing teams. Why is it such a game changer?
Because it unlocks potential. If people feel unsafe, they hold back. Ideas die. Innovation stops. It's that simple. The book offers practical strategies: leadership modeling, vulnerability leaders admitting mistakes, asking for help. That sets the tone. Creating a speak-up culture, genuinely encouraging diverse views, maybe anonymous feedback channels. Responding productively to mistakes, framing them as learning opportunities, not blame games. Plus, promoting active listening, empathy, clear norms of respect, tackling microaggressions, celebrating diverse contributions. They're all foundational building blocks.
Monica's story from that remote mining site comes back here. As the only woman facing men who wouldn't speak to her directly, mocked her suggestions. Instead of confrontation, she chose to listen more than I spoke, ask questions, act like herself, observant, clear, firm when needed, and always human.
Patient persistence.
Exactly. Slowly, it shifted the culture. A foreman eventually told her, "You don't try to prove you know everything, but you always bring clarity. We trust you." And that's the key, isn't it? Trust changes cultures, not dominance.
Absolutely. And to help organizations build that trust and balance systematically, the book introduces another tool, the Team Balance Assessment Tool. 2 wings of leadership maturity model. It's a practical self-assessment. Teams or orgs can see where they are on a maturity scale, from traditional hierarchical up to regenerative leadership or 2 wings mastery. It helps pinpoint where growth is needed and track progress over time.
Okay, so if you're listening and thinking, how do we actually do this? Let's dig into some practical strategies for teams and organizations. Starting with team dynamics, the book suggests fostering collaboration, co-leadership, maybe team-based problem-solving sessions like TPS. Also, training leaders in something called unified consultation. Have you heard much about that?
It's a fascinating process, rooted in seeking objective truth collectively. People share perspectives, but then detach from owning their ideas, trying to find the best outcome for the whole group. Less ego, more collective wisdom.
That sounds transformative for meetings. The book also hits on blending logic and intuition. Ensuring diverse representation. Remember that stat, diverse exec teams are 33–35% more likely to outperform financially. Promoting psychological safety, like clear processes for reporting microaggressions. Creating structures for shared decision-making, like Patagonia or Salesforce do. Practicing empathy, relational intelligence. Using structured dialogue in meetings. Team charters for respect. Celebrating diverse contributions publicly. Lots of concrete actions.
And to make it stick, organizations need supportive systems, policies, and practices. This means inclusive leadership development programs, workshops on bias, emotional regulation, mentorship and sponsorship for underrepresented groups, actively seeking diverse perspectives and strategy, maybe advisory boards, ensuring equitable systems for hiring, promotion, pay like anonymous screening, embedding D&I in strategy and values, holding leaders accountable for D&I outcomes and performance reviews, aligning policies with a human-centric approach, flexible work, mental health resources, and recognizing rewarding leaders who actually model balanced leadership.
But how do you know if it's working? You need to be measuring what matters.
Mm-hmm.
The book suggests specific KPIs, employee satisfaction surveys focusing on inclusion, representation of diverse groups in leadership roles, retention rates of diverse talent, feedback from 360 assessments on inclusive behaviors, and results from that team balance assessment tool we mentioned.
Right. Tracking these metrics consistently gives you both quantitative and qualitative insights. It shows if your initiatives are effective, it helps foster that more balanced, high-performing culture, and ultimately that leads to stronger decisions, better team cohesion, improved long-term resilience. It pays off.
Now let's zoom out one last time, beyond the workplace. Because true leadership, it doesn't stop at the office door, right? Its impact ripples out into families, communities, broader society.
Definitely. When we talk about leading with intention, balanced leadership in families and personal relationships, Monica's family coaching tool is relevant. It encourages intentional communication, empowerment through trust, holistic development. These build deeper connections, nurturing environments right at home, applying the same principles.
Monica's reflection on her daughter's weddings fits perfectly here, too. Pausing her business to be fully present led her to realize sustainable leadership requires the integration of both energies at all times. Being effective means integrating both wings harmoniously, whether you're leading a company or, planning a wedding.
And this integrated approach is such a powerful tool for community and societal transformation. It directly tackles huge global challenges: economic inequality, social justice, and critically, violence against women.
Those examples of Mr. David Harris, the principal, and Alex Rivera, the community organizer, really show that transformative impact in communities. And it's crucial to reiterate, violence against women is a massive global crisis, and it is a leadership issue.
Absolutely. That strong correlation between gender equality and societal progress. It just underscores the critical need for balanced leadership on a global scale. Empowering women economically and politically isn't just fair. It's a vital tool for peace and sustainable development, period.
We can also learn so much from global voices. The book mentions the Global Women of the G100, an empowered group of 100 women leaders worldwide, actively working to influence policy, advocate for gender balance, drive systemic change across industries. It's inspiring. And all this really leads to a call to integration, embracing your full potential. Balanced leadership isn't just an initiative or a model, it's really a way of being.
It is, and the book invites each of us to make concrete personal and organizational commitments, personally. Revisit those self-assessments. Reflect honestly on your own blend of qualities. Identify areas to cultivate both wings. Maybe practice active listening if you're highly competitive. Maybe step forward assertively if you tend to hate back. Lead with intention everywhere: family, community, relationships.
And organizational.
Champion inclusivity. Actively create environments where diverse voices are valued. Challenge bias in hiring, promotion, invest in development training on empathy, communication, conflict resolution, and crucially, model balanced leadership yourself. Walk the talk.
It all comes down to creating a movement, collective action. Individual commitments, they get amplified massively when they become part of something bigger. This collective shift towards integrated leadership, that's what will truly allow the bird of humanity to navigate complexity and finally soar.
And we're already seeing powerful global movements moving in this direction, like mbf.org-the Baha'i-inspired ethical business forum, the G100 you mentioned, soul.com, that community transforming organizations, youth-led initiatives too, purposeful ESG-focused companies. They're all striving for this more balanced, integrated way.
So the invitation to you listening is, how can you contribute? Share your story. Become an advocate. Connect with others on this path. Educate and empower those around you. Every action matters. So here's a final thought to mull over. If cultivating both wings means challenging your deepest assumptions about leadership, what one small action will you take this week to explore what that truly means for you in your life or your work?
Because true progress, whether it's leadership, organizations, or society, really hinges on that harmonious interplay of the two wings. Only by recognizing and valuing both feminine and masculine power can we foster greater balance, creativity, innovation, allowing all of us truly to soar together.
We really hope this deep dive into two wings of leadership has given you a lot to think about. Keep exploring, keep growing. We'll connect with you again next time on The Deep Dive.